Now, Russia has launched another wave of missiles at Ukrainian cities in the early hours of the morning, the second pre-dawn attack in 3 days. The Ukrainian military said most of the missiles were intercepted by air defense systems, including over the capital, Kyiv. It comes as hours earlier there was another missile attack on the city of Pavlograd in the eastern Dnipro region. Russian military commentators said that the targets were warehouses storing military equipment for a Ukrainian counteroffensive. Local authorities say 34 civilians have been injured. Our Ukraine correspondent Hugo Bachega gave me this update.
The Ukrainian military is saying that Russia fired 18 missiles and 15 of those missiles were intercepted by the country's air defense. Now, here in Kyiv, the air raid alert sounded at around 4 o'clock in the morning, and the authorities here are saying that all missiles and also drones that were fired at the city were shot down by the country's air defense. So again, the capital Kyiv coming under attack, the second time in 3 days that the city was targeted. Now, hours earlier, there was another attack, another missile attack targeting the central city of Pavlograd in the region of Dnipropetrovsk, and there the authorities are saying that an industrial site was hit, dozens of buildings have been damaged, including houses and schools, and we just had an update from the local authorities saying that 34 people have been injured as a result of this attack. We've seen pictures on social media of a massive fire right after this attack. Now, some Russian commentators are saying that supplies for the Ukrainian military supplies to be used in this upcoming counteroffensive were the main target of this attack. We haven't had confirmation from the Ukrainian authorities about that. But again, I think in the last few days we've seen a number of attacks hitting places away from the front lines, and I think the context here is that this is happening as the Ukrainians are saying that they're finishing their plans for this much anticipated counteroffensive to try to take back territory that's now under Russian occupation.
There's been another change at the top of Russia's military, hasn't it?
Exactly, and I think this is another change that has happened, another change perhaps indicating the problems that Russian forces have been facing. So this change is related to the leadership of the Russian military responsible for logistics here in Ukraine. And I think we've seen a number of complaints that Russian troops are facing shortages of ammunition, of equipment, also uniforms, food. So I think this is perhaps an example of not only the problems that Russian forces are facing here in the country, but also perhaps the preparations that for the Russian troops ahead of this much anticipated counteroffensive. We've seen that Russia has fortified some positions in occupied territories, and I think perhaps this change is another indication that that preparations are underway also on the Russian side for this much anticipated Ukrainian offensive.
Hugo Bachega there on the latest in Ukraine.